Hi and welcome to my channel. This is episode 63 of the Lina Knits podcast, my podcast about knitting and yarn, finding joy in every stitch and getting cozy in your hand knits. I am Lina and I'm coming to you from my home in Helsinki, Finland. I am a knitwear designer, a tech editor, and otherwise assist other woolly entrepreneurs. Welcome! Before I move on to the content of this episode, I just want to say thank you, a heartfelt thank you to everyone who commented or sent me messages after my previous video, the Knit With Me February. I'm just speechless. I was very nervous posting that, and just reading all the comments of support of other people recounting their difficult periods in life and just sharing their wisdom and things they've learned and realized. Just thank you so much. Rest assured, I'm not going anywhere. I love designing and I love creating content here on YouTube, so I'm gonna keep on doing that. That's what's bringing me joy at the moment a lot, so definitely gonna continue doing that. And here I am. Today is a Thursday, March the 7th, and I'm here with a new podcast episode. I have one finished object and a few whips. I've been pretty monogamous again with my knitting, which seems to be the theme lately. But yeah, the finished object is my pair of cozy socks. So this is my own pattern, yet unreleased. I've had it tech edited, and the next step would be to have it test knit and take photos. I'm still sort of undecided on whether, I'm gonna publish it, but I just don't know. I've decided I'm gonna publish it, but I don't know if it should be the spring or if it should wait until fall when people start thinking about warm knitted items. Now the spring is coming here in the northern hemisphere. It seems people are already starting thinking about lace and lightweight knits, so worsted weight socks might not be on people's knitting agenda. I do know that in the southern hemisphere they're heading towards winter, so I'm aware of that, so I could release these now if I can get decent photos. It's very difficult. Dark yarns are difficult to photograph, and I should learn to make the pairs or the items that I use for photographs from lighter yarns and just keep these for myself. So these socks are either have a very long cuff or just a moderately long cuff if you fold it down double. And yeah, they are, I call them slipper socks, but I guess they're just very thick socks. I knit these using a sport weight sock yarn, Vuorenman Veto, double. So I had 2 strands of that sport weight sock yarn throughout. I started from the toe. Yes, I did. I usually start from the cuff. That's my preferred method for knitting socks, but this time I went with a toe start, and I did that's in stockinette, but I did it in garter stitch. I did the heel in garter stitch, and I used a short row heel, which I think looks very cozy. And then the cuff is just rib And then of course some increases for the cuff as it is almost knee length. So I had 3 skeins. I had 300 grams of that, and I thought I would need to use most of it, but actually each one is 100 grams. So 2 skeins of sport weight sock yarn gave me this pair. So once I realized that the 100 grams would be enough for a pretty long cuff, I decided to go for that, as it's kind of annoying just to start a 3rd skein for a few rounds. So but of course gauge differs, foot length differs. I mean, if you have a long foot, then you use up more yarn here. So all of these differs, and if you use different yarn, it might knit up a bit differently using a different amount of yarn. So of course it's impossible to say that you only need 2 skeins of sport yarn for this. But yeah, so coming up one day, can't say when, because this is sort of a bonus pattern. I did release another bonus pattern in February. I released the pattern for the hot cocoa mitts, and there's the video for those, so I'm not gonna show them here because they were knit almost 2 years ago, so they're not a current whip, and there is that specific video where I tell everything you need to know about them. So go check that out if you're interested in very Hygge mitts. Alright, then on to the whips. So this is what I've been mostly knitting on. This is Mon Manet by Jonna Hietala. In the previous episode I just started on the yoke, so I just got in a few rounds in, I think. And now I've got the body finished and the first sleeve about halfway done. And yeah, really loving it. I bought, well, let's talk about the yarn first. I bought this yarn at Edinburgh Yarn Festival from Bara Muse stand last year. And for this pattern, or with this pattern in mind. This is Dovestown Natural Aran, and in the shade 3. And I had 5 skeins of it. This is the last one that I hadn't caked up yet, but I know I need to in order to knit the other sleeve. I've got this much left of the 4th. So this is a nice basic raglan sweater that you knit sort of inside out. So the purl side is what's going to be the right side when you wear it, which is why the armhole, underarm parts are not looking that pretty yet, but they will. I love this yarn. It's I love how lively it is. Like, it's a solid color, but then anything but solid. This one has 50% Blue Fest Leicester, 25% Wensleydale long wool, and 25% Masha. So it's Aran weight. It has 185 yards, or 170 meters per 100 grams. And I'm knitting this with, I think I'm knitting this with 4mm needles. I'm not sure if these say what they are. Yeah, so this has really completely taken over my knitting life, or my knitting time. The yarn is very pleasant to knit with, and the pattern is easy peasy, so it's been such a relaxing knit. Again, I'm doing the sleeves using magic loop. My cable is a bit too short for it, so it's a bit cumbersome, and I do have 4mm deep hands, so I guess I've changed. It's not so long ago that I said that I don't like magic loop, I don't do magic loop, but now I seem to be doing it all the time. I guess I was just being lazy initially when I started the sleeves. I cast off and then didn't want to get up off the couch and just continued onto the sleeves. But yeah, so I guess I've changed. And now just use magic loop. I'm still knitting my socks on DPNs and, you know, smaller things, but this is the second sweater where I've done the sleeves with magic loop, and I did those cinnamon star hats with magic loop as well. Yeah. So that is that. I'm trying to finish it for this year's UAF, which is in, what, 2 weeks? Yeah. So I think I can get it done if I'm not seduced by other projects in the meantime. But yeah, 1.5 sleeves, 2 weeks. I think it's doable, don't you? Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, I'm already looking at the next whip. This is a crochet whip, and it's the crochet blanket that I started. This is the pile of finished ends woven in, so fully finished. This way. This is the right side up. Now, fully finished squares. I think I've got my hair on them. Other people have like cat and dog hair in their projects. I just have my hair. It's everywhere. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We've got 15 here, and one finished here with the end still loose, and one where I'm mid round. Yeah, so I'm gonna briefly show you a few of them. I always I always crochet 3 the same, so not that many different kinds yet. So this is the hexagon, ruby hexagon. Why can't I remember the name? Well, I've put in the details, like they should have been up on the screen. But the idea, I've adjusted the pattern slightly. In the original pattern, you have the each round with a different yarn, and I'm doing 3, 2, and 2. Just 3 colors per square or hexagon. And yeah, so it's the granny block, but in a hexagon form. Really easy to make, and also fun to make. Most of my yarns, well, all of my yarns are fingering weight. I think the pattern called for DK or worsted weight yarn. All of my yarn are fingering weight, and most of them are wool or 100% wool, or then the wool sock. No, 100% wool or sock yarn with a bit of nylon, but this one that I'm currently putting in, this one is a wool silk mix, and I was a bit hesitant in using it, but seriously, I've got so little of it left. I don't know what else to do with it, but still a bit too much to just put it in the scrap pile. So I'm using it here. I figured even if I wash it and it shrinks or something, it's not that big of a deal, since it is like the minor things always in, just mixed in with other. If you think it's a really bad idea to put silk or yarn with a bit of silk into this blanket, let me know and I'll remove these from that. But I figured it would be okay. The only thing I can think of is it's gonna wear a bit differently, and then when I wash it, it might shrink or become sort of lose its shape, but it is crochet, so I mean, but if you've got more experience with these kind of things, like crocheting with silk yarn, let me know. I think this is 50-50, but it could be like 70-30 as well. And I'm using KA5 3mm. I have no idea what the KA5 means, but it's a 3mm hook. The KA might just be the brand. I don't know. I don't crochet that much and it shows, I'm sure. Alright, and my last web is a new shawl design. You saw me start this on a blog, and I knit this on the Knit With Me video as well. I've had ridiculously little knitting time since then, but so this is all I've got. Garter stitch and stripes. And I know where I'm going with this one. So the yarns that I'm using are these. This is the main color, this is the contrast color, and I've got a second skein of the main color. These are by Brambles and Me. It is her 100% superwash Bluefest Leicester high twist, 4-ply, 100 grams, it's 365 meters, so about or exactly 400 yards. A naturally dyed yarn, and this one is called Kissing Gate, or the colorway is called Kissing Gate. This one was called Hot Toddy, it's the same base. So Brambles and Me is an indie dyer in England, or the UK. And I really love this. All the different smooth, like this again from afar it looks pretty solid. You can't see when I put it there, can you? So from afar it looks pretty solid, but when you look close up you see all the different pinks and mauves and purples and blues, all very pale, very tonal. The same with this one. From afar it's a pretty purple, but close up different shades of purple and red, but again very uniform. I love these, and I think they go nicely together. So really excited to be working on it. I'm gonna finish filming this, reply to a couple of emails, and then spend the afternoon just knitting on this. And I will keep you posted on my progress, so you'll see it grow, and yeah, see where I'm going with that. I'm quite excited. I think it's gonna turn out so great. But yes, that was everything for this episode. Again, I will be at EYF on Friday and Saturday at the marketplace, and I've got a class on Saturday afternoon. If you see me there, if you are there and you see me there, do come and say hi. I would love to meet you. I can be a bit shy in person, but that doesn't mean I don't love seeing you, meeting new people. I do. So please do come and introduce yourself. There isn't going to be an official podcaster meetup this year. They've changed it up somehow, so there's not going to be a podcaster lounge, but I will just be everywhere within the confines of the Corn Exchange. I'm really looking forward to going. It'll be just the perfect, it's coming up at the perfect time. It'll give me time to relax, give me time to think, give me time to get away from my everyday life for a bit. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I will see you soon again. Happy knitting. Bye.